And we are all set up and ready to go. So, hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume and figure out where we left off. I believe we were working on this space platform, right? So, we were trying to get this to go out. So, first of all, this serves the very boring purpose of just going like ordinary trade routes and stuff, but we also want this same design to be able to go all the way out to at least partly to the Shattered Planet, which currently it is not at all capable of doing because this has not been designed well enough to be nice and secure. So let's try to fix that. So we need to design basically a front row of the platform, which is better at not dying. So let's just go off here into space for that. And what I think we're going to do is we're just going to have like solid rows of gun turrets and everything. And I mean, the range on this has got to be good enough, right? So I think the gun turrets have the worst range, right? So they are going to want to be in front. Then the rocket turrets, if you do something like that, right? So the rocket turrets hit everything up to like there. Then the gun turrets show up. Cyan, hello. Now, is this actually spaced properly for belt reasons? So that is good. That is good. And okay, we technically need one more space for you. So we have like this, and then this belt, which is carrying both of these, goes in like that. Then all of these go in. And so that's sort of something. And then we need to also squeeze in asteroid collectors somehow, because we need to actually get stuff out of this. And those are going to be tricky because they can't, like, go behind things, right? They have to be in front. They have to be in front, and they have to have access to a belt to output things. So, let's see. If we just straight up put them in front, is that enough space? It's not, like, completely terrible, but it's not great either. And then that would be running back. And I guess we would have just like a couple of those, and that belt doesn't go there. It goes here, obviously, so that they can get their inputs. Alright, so if we had this, it would just about barely work. Although the railgun turret probably... Yeah, I actually think... because there's those red highlights, which makes me think it's going to blow stuff up if it tries to shoot past them. Which means that that's not going to work after all. So, what if instead we have the railgun turrets in front? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, if we have the railgun turrets in front like this, then... But now the gun turrets, which have the worst range, are in the back. Alright, so I think we just need to have legendary gun turrets for the increased range, just for that to work, which we have been producing. So that should actually... I thought we were going to have to start making them, but apparently we already had. So let's just... get those upgraded to legendary, and now the range shouldn't be nearly as much of a problem. So we still have some good range in there. And then these guys can, I guess we can put those back, and then we have like half a belt of asteroids somehow. Or maybe we can find more space for a pure belt for it. So if we have, because these railgun turrets probably don't need to be as close together as like the gun turrets do, right? At least not for now. So like if we wanted to go absolutely crazy with the railgun turrets, we would have a row like this. Railgun turrets hitting the edge of stuff next to it. That sounds terrifying. Alright, so if we have something like this, this should be able to get us through basically anything. And then that doesn't work with the grabbers though. So when we were doing this last time and like taking damage halfway out, it was not the problem of the railgun turrets not keeping up, it was the regular old gun turrets not keeping up. So if we just continue to have a relatively small amount of railgun turrets, just like 1 in 3 I guess, then this belt here can run along that way and wait, no, that's dumb. Obviously, it needs to go 1 lower. I don't know why today in particular I am just absolutely failing to remember correct belt spacing. So you get from there. Then the railgun turrets. Apparently, this spacing is all wonky still. Wait, no, if you're there, right, we can have this go underground and just work better. So you do that. Railgun turret goes into there and can grab from that. And this should be correct, right? And then there's no way these rocket turrets need to be all the way back there. So the rocket turrets go up there instead. And since we have a bunch of all the others, we might as well have a bunch of these. And then I guess they're going to be feeding off the same input belt as the gun turrets, which should still be okay. So now we just need to actually build this. Oh, we need to make sure that this tiles properly too. So you have to go out to there, you come back to there, and I guess we're gonna have the occasional gap in our gun turrets. Let's at least make it somewhat symmetrical in like that. And I don't know what I'm doing with all these. Then we're going to need all of that to be filled in. Okay, so this should be fine in theory. So if we copy another one, now these tile properly, and how many of these am I going to need? We go and we put this like sort of in this area. We're going to need to do some weird stuff with the belts to make this work, because this is not how we had this aligned previously. So, but it's going to be like here probably, or somewhere like that is where it'll end up going, except obviously pushed down. which we will figure out in a minute. Then we need to get the gun turrets and rocket turrets. So we need to get this belt changed around. I think only the front needs all of this. The sides should be fine, probably. If they aren't, then I guess we will figure that out shortly, but I don't want to have to update these sides to have like 1 billion railguns on them, because that would be very, very expensive. So hopefully we can just leave these more or less the way they are. But we need to swap which belts are combined up. So we're going to put the rockets on this belt so that the railguns can be alone on that belt. And then... Okay, I'm actually just confusing myself. Can we just have this swap around here so we get these guys out. They're gonna go over this way. Then this path goes underground for a bit. And wait, actually that doesn't need to go underground at all, because this is the one that's doing the splitting, right? So this one is the one which needs to split. And we need to filter railgun ammo to the right, rockets to the left, I guess. Or, let's see, the rockets and the... Okay, no, we actually wanted to do the other way around. So we want this to be rockets. And it'll just go out and do something at some point. And then the ammo can go onto that belt. Let's just take that front little bit with the railguns off first. So now that is the two of those. And then we just have this being the railgun ammo, which we just need to push things forward so that it works. All right, and that's apparently all good now. So now we just need to take all of this stuff here out, and that's gonna probably cause some problems with not wanting to break donuts and stuff, but it'll be fine. So this whole row here goes away. And then we can... Actually, is this still the thing in our pasted? Yes, it is. Okay, so we take you out entirely. And then we can paste this guy in. And you need to be, like, preferably here, actually. We might have a bit of a weird stuff with, like, the front corners. But, I mean, we want this. So I guess this is, like, as early as we can get the two split off as we're currently doing it. And we're not super concerned about excess height because this thing is insanely long anyways, so that's probably fine just for convenience's sake. We need to fill in some of those little holes so that this whole thing can get built. Okay, now we get that belt goes into there. This one doesn't do that. You come along like that. Oh, this is actually ever so slightly wider. It's ever so slight. It's one tile wider than it previously was, which is, I guess, probably fine. Okay, so then that connects up like so. And we need to fill in the gap there. Alright, so that is that. And then we can paste another one of these guys on. And then we're going to have to connect it around to the sides again. And we're going to need to get some... The coverage on this edge is fine, right? We've got a turret. We've got a rocket turret and a gun turret, so that shouldn't be an issue, just like this random side here. I guess that is another thing which we'll have to see. So, now we have to recombine these back down that way, and it would probably be easier just to fix these so that they all work on the same thing, but I've gotten this far. Oh, I also need to connect up the asteroid collection. So this needs to come down here. We need to, not there, we need to go through that. And then you can come down and loop around this way. And I forgot that space platforms don't like automatically placing underground belts for some reason. And then you loop around that way, and then you can attach into all of that. And that's asteroid supply check. Okay, so that should be all fine. Now we have... That belt is facing backwards for some reason, so let's fix that. And now we just need to connect this side up, which just means like resplitting and combining. So we have you filtering firearm magazines. And that just goes down and into there. Let's get those random rockets off of that. Okay, so firearm magazines are reattached, and apparently that's feeding it into the other side of the belt than we were previously, which is fine. Then we take this belt, you come down this way and across over to here, and now that is rockets, which can just... Okay, actually the rockets should just be fine like this, right? We don't need to worry about reattaching the railguns because there just aren't any railguns down there. Yeah, that should be okay. So then we take this belt. This is the asteroid belt. And it needs to sort of loop around like that. Go under to there. Out this way. And then into that. And then we have to fill in the gap again. And just a single tile there. Okay. This should be like 100% secure now. Hopefully. And I guess if we need to make legendary rocket turrets and railgun turrets, that can be a future step. But for now, this should be just about fine. I just kind of want to test it, which means sending it all the way out to the edge of the solar system to see if it explodes again. And also we need to get that. We need to get this corner over here built. Let's get those 8 transport belts up. Okay, so that is all set. Now, as far as ammunition is concerned, we've got... everything seems to be mostly full. I forget how far down this goes. Okay, so the regular ammo supply is a bit far back, but it should be... they're crafting up a good chunk of them, so it should be fine. And it's still all the way back in past all the splitting points. So there should never be any problems with that. Alright. Off you go. And good luck. In the meantime, we actually want a couple of these probably for just like boring transportation purposes. So since this is probably like 90% how we want it, let's copy that entire thing and just build another one, which I don't know what to call this. Let's just call this fast transport. So we're just going to build another one of the same thing because we're probably going to want it at some point, and we might as well start the construction process now. We'll just have to remember that any tweaks we make to this one will have to get made to both. Alright, so the asteroid supply is starting to show up, and that's something which this has had trouble with. Okay, so now we have to actually get that pasted, and there you go. So that is just going to be building in the background for a little while. And this has been like especially not good about preserving its asteroid supply for an extended period of time, which could conceivably be an issue. Like, we're throwing away a lot of stuff here. Throwing away a lot of asteroids, just like in that copper and ice and calcite that we're tossing away. And we can help with that by having you and you. Wait, no, you aren't going to be able to feed directly because that's going to be like 2 conditions, right? So we're going to need a decider combinator, which hopefully we have. Alright. Yes, we have that. And so we get that and that feeding into this. And you are going to be read belt contents hold. You are going to be read belt contents hold. Okay, so you need to now measure both of those, and if calcite is greater than, let's say, 100, and ice cubes are greater than, let's say, like 16, then you can output a signal, and then that signal will go into here, and you are going to be enabled if that is 0. So this won't run unless we're actually low on something, unless it's actually producing something useful. So that will save a couple asteroids here and there. Now, it looks like I already did something similar here. And yeah, so we are actually using all this iron ore. So that copper that we're throwing away does actually need to be thrown away. And man, we're already most of the way to Aquilo. This thing is fast. This thing is real fast. And I did also set it to control its speed a little bit, right? That's what this guy here is for. So Did I build this correctly? Yes. So currently we are not headed to the Shattered Planet or the Solar System Edge. So it doesn't care and it just outputs a check signal. If we are heading to one of those two places and we had a velocity of greater than 100, then this won't output anything, which will stop the fuel producers, which should keep the speed low. Now, with all of these upgrades here, with all these upgrades that we have, like 10,000 extra gun turrets and rocket turrets, hopefully we shouldn't have a problem with that. We should be able to just sort of go full speed even here. Oh, I've just realized I didn't... Dang it. Alright, so we need to give these guys their settings so they're not just, like, happily firing away at absolutely everything. So you need to be target priority huge and huge and huge and huge. Ignore unlisted targets. Okay, so that should keep things more efficient in terms of our ammo usage. So now we're only shooting at asteroids with the particular turrets that actually want to be shooting at those asteroids. And we also have, like, way more collectors in now, so that should be convenient. And yeah, we have a huge amount of ice right now, which I hope that isn't clogging things up at all. We might need... Yeah, let's actually just increase that to a couple more inserters so that when we have this massive, overwhelming amount of items, we don't have to worry about it. And that is going to try to get things under control, but it is just, like, mostly ice. Alright, so our thrust is now going to be fluctuating around, like, 100 to 120, which is what we had it at last time. And things are looking better. Things are looking a lot better so far, but we've also just started, so who knows. Has this ice overwhelming gotten under control? No, it's still going crazy. Alright, let's get another one. Alright, so yeah, now we've managed to get the ice mostly under control. So that should be fine. And still no damage taken. And it looks a lot more fine now with the legendary gun turrets. And I think just, like, overall more security. But we're getting too many asteroids. We're getting way too many asteroids. Way more than we can possibly deal with. How is this side down here? This is facing the same ice blockage. So let's add on another 2 inserters to keep throwing all that stuff away. Still showing 0 damage taken. And yeah, things seem to be fine. In fact, I wonder if we can accelerate a little bit more. Probably better not to risk it. 100 kilometers per second is still reasonably fast. It's probably like 110-ish on average, right? And yeah, things seem to be doing fine. Although, I guess we should also check ammo consumption. Alright, so the number of railgun shells has decreased. I hope that's just because I hope that's just because of that awkward period where we were just shooting railguns at absolutely everything. Rockets seem to be doing fine. Production tab can help for ammo. What do you mean by production tab? Is there something that I'm not aware of here? Oh, production statistics. There is. Look at that. Okay. So, ammo consumption. Care about... Yeah, so that's fine then. So this was the period where we were shooting railgun at everything that breathes. And now it's not an issue anymore. Now it's dropped off massively. And what is our production is 42 per minute, pretty stably. Consumption is like 4 per minute, so yeah, we are incredibly fine on that. It was just that weird period where we were shooting at every viable target with railguns. Yeah. So we should be more than fine. And this is all still going. Still showing 0 damage taken. Alright, it seems to be working. Let's actually check the... so we're here. The number of asteroids... It's hard to tell. Like, total number of oxide asteroids is definitely decreasing. Sort of evens out a bit. There's a bunch of huge asteroids when we're like almost there though, so it's actually not easy to say if we're going to actually be safe or not, because that might be an issue. It probably won't though. We've had a huge amount of buffer space in here. Alright, let's try unlimiting the throttle a little bit. So you can now go up to 140 if you want to. And that should be, I think full speed was like 160 or something in those lines. So this should be almost full throttle. And I just don't want to go 100% full speed in case something crazy happens. Okay. And we have a blockage of the input asteroids, but the supplies in here are well balanced, so that's perfectly fine. As long as we have all the different types of asteroids in there and they're looping around safely so that we can get everything, then these belts backing up is not really an issue. It's actually more of a good thing than anything. Okay, so now we're going. Speed seems to be... So we're about to hit 140, and so now the fuel production should be off, and we drop down to like 138, so this is actually very, very precise about our current speed. So that should be fine. And it's kind of a crazy wave here, but it's also not posing any problems, it looks like. Okay, how's the other ammo production going? Rocket ammo looks like it's sort of weirdly stable in that area. Alright. Alright, production tab. Which one of you is production tab? What does rockets look like? 200 to 300 a minute. And then we're producing like 200 a minute. Okay, that's actually very close. So we seem to be like barely breaking even on rockets. And it's not because we're completely limited and we're just only producing them when it's physically possible. it's actually just like our max production speed is almost exactly correct. It was like the gun turrets are obviously going to be perfectly breaking even because they're only outputting when they need more. And the rocket turrets just seem to actually be producing at exactly the right rate, which I would really rather have more buffer. So we're going to have to work about getting like legendary assembly machines onto these probably, because I don't want something weird happening where we're like just barely over and then we run into problems. Alright, so this, it looks like we're starting to hit the point where the huge carbonic asteroids start to go up like crazy. And if we can make it through that, then this should be able to make it to the edge of the solar system safely. But it seems to be going fine so far. So far, so good. And man, those railgun turrets are crazy. Just instant destruction. No delay or anything. Alright, so that looks like it's going fine. Let's just real quick glance away to this, and this is very much still under construction. Unsurprisingly, takes a while. So now back over to here. And sort of a weird quiet period just now. And a whole bunch of huge asteroids. Go. We're getting through this now. This is a little bit closer, it looks like, but still just nothing to be worried about, really. Seems to be going completely fine. We aren't even really running all the gun turrets 100% of the time. And that all looks good. And if I remember correctly, okay, they keep going up for a little while, at which point they drop off. So we're not quite at the peak of it yet, but we're very close. And we still haven't had even the slightest problems with, like, the number of railguns that we have. It's just the rockets which are a bit of a concern. It's just the rockets which are a bit of a concern. And how's that? Okay, yeah. No, the rockets are definitely, like, even at that dip, it's like 240. So we definitely need more rocket production for this super crazy stuff here. And we should, if we scroll down to here, see, yeah, this is pushed further back a little bit. So we need more rocket production, but we are able to make it to the solar system edge. And at this point, we're past the peak, and that's dropping off. So then the next question is the shattered planet. So we are going to be able to grab some of those, like, fancy Prometheum asteroids or whatever, hopefully. Although I don't know if we have enough space on the asteroid belt for that. We might need to more aggressively dump those out. Or, like, even have some sort of filtering system for it so that we can always get the Prometheum asteroids in. Because we do care about those a lot. Guess we'll have to see what happens. Like, there are massive clouds of asteroids which we're not picking up here. Which we definitely want to be. Alright, we have officially beaten the game. So that's cool. And okay. Can we just keep going? Yes, we can just keep going. Cool. Alright, game officially beaten. Sort of anticlimactic that it just sort of happens in the middle of this while I was genuinely just designing like a random space platform for boring purposes and got carried away. But we've officially beaten the game. We're going to keep going, though. I want to have actually good science production. I'm going to have actually good science production and do the whole Prometheum stuff and get a whole bunch of legendary buildings. So, now we're here. And it looks like it's just a massive ramp up of huge Prometheum asteroids. So, there's always some amounts of the others, right? So that should be fine. And, alright, some of these guys are getting a little bit close around the corners. So yeah, the corners, which I thought might be an issue, look like they might need a little bit of fixing. Alright. First Prometheum asteroid shot. And there we go. Now we're going to get all these guys in. And this is real spooky. There's a lot of asteroids all the time. Yeah, actually let's... How's our rocket supply is definitely not looking great. I think we need to head back, like immediately. Yeah. Okay, we actually took damage. I missed. Yeah, and it's the corner, as I was worried about. So we need to increase our defenses around that corner. And I did set up an automatic thing to send us back immediately if we took damage out here, so that's fine. But yeah, we're going to need to just get some extra coverage around those corners so that they're less of a problem. And it's funny that this shows like 3 million kilometers or whatever, almost 4 million kilometers. Alright, so we did collect a couple of these, and they're going around in our giant storage now. So now we can just hang on to those for a bit, and then hopefully we should be able to get back to reasonably safe territory without much difficulty. Although there definitely are a whole lot of asteroids still. And we have a pretty far trip to get back from the edge of the solar system to anywhere useful, so who knows. But we're almost back at the edge of the solar system. And okay, we ended up taking more damage down here at this corner. Okay, so this is the thing that I was worried about, is the asteroids coming in at sort of the huge asteroids coming in at sort of like an angle. I was hoping that wouldn't be a problem. It seems like it is actually going to be a problem. So we might need to have even more railguns just covering the edges like that. Although it's weird that it's only happened just now, right? Like, we've traveled all this way and that's just now happened. So it seems incredibly rare. So maybe if we just have like a railgun out there and a railgun out there, that will be enough width to cover it. And then obviously if we can get the huge ones shot, then we do have the other types of turrets down here along the edges, so that shouldn't be an issue. So now we're back in the area where there's no more Prometheum asteroids. So basically these are all we have, plus some up here on the belt which haven't made it through yet. So we're also going to need, as another addition to this, we're going to need some way of getting the Prometheum asteroids through properly. So probably we just have like an output filter that just tosses away extra chunks up here if this is completely filled. And we could probably even put it down like in here somewhere. So then these front rows of collectors can just continue collecting. Alright, so that go. And unless it explodes soon, which we still have plenty of rocket turrets, so it should be fine. Unless it somehow gets destroyed, it should just slowly be making its way back to... Where is it even headed? It's headed all the way back to Novice. That's basically where I want it to go, so that's good. So now this copy of it is mostly built, but is missing a couple of the... It's mostly missing the stuff that you have to go to weird other planets for, right? So we need to get all these guys delivered up, and I'm pretty sure... Yeah, so this is the guy who carries the fusion generators, but you don't ever visit Novice naturally. Do you visit? Yes, so you visit Novice, so you can get those on your list of things that you carry. So it was like 2 of those and like 20 of those probably. And then you might as well also bring cryo plants, and who cares, a large number of them. And what else was there? Oh, there was fusion fuel and the hot fluoroketone, which we apparently already have. Okay, so railguns was the last thing that we want to have access to on Novice. Alright, so you are set up, and you should be able to now transport things back to Novice perfectly fine. And this platform is still doing okay. We did not wind up with all that many Promethium asteroid chunks, which is fine. It was a pretty quick trip out there anyways. So we have a number of fixes we need to make, and they shouldn't be super important for these. Okay, one thing we do want is we want a fusion refuel interrupt, which is conditions, item count, fusion power cell, less than 20 maybe. Targets to Aquilo. Save interrupt. So you pick up the fusion power, and then that should be fine. So then we need to get that same interrupt onto you, so that you will stop by there to reload occasionally. And then we just need to wait for this guy to get built before we can do much of anything. Can't even start collecting asteroids until the fusion reactor gets built, so that's going to take a while. Okay, so in the meantime, I guess we can start... Actually, we shouldn't start designing stuff here because it's still sort of in a dangerous area. If we start tearing belts apart, then weird things could happen. So we're just going to leave this as is for a little bit. And you have... I don't know why you have like 1 billion railgun ammo in here. How did that even get there? Did I launch it up? It's not in the requests. I don't know how all this railgun ammo got into the space platform hub. Who knows? I don't really... It's probably not important. Okay, it actually looks like the gun ammo was also starting to have issues. So we need better ammo for that too. And that means we need more iron, because it looks like the iron ore is like the primary limiting factor here. So we are going to need even more of that. Ammo goes in hub when deconstructing turret. Got it, that makes sense. So when I was constructing and deconstructing those a couple of times, that makes sense. Okay. No longer confused. That's fine. Okay, so we need more iron ingot production, first of all. And actually see, like, how bad is it? Firearm magazine. So consumption has been somewhat wobbly, but like 600 to 1,000. Production has only been like 400 to 500. Alright, so yeah, we need a little bit more. Yeah, no, it makes sense now that I think about it. I just hadn't considered it. So we need more gun turret ammunition production, which means we need more iron. So that's like the main limiting factor on that, right? These machines down here are basically never running. So we just need more iron ore. And that is going to be... let's see, can we just like squeeze this in somewhere? No. We could just like swap these to legendary crushers, right? That should give us crafting speed bonuses, and the iron asteroids are not at all a limiting factor. Okay, so let's work out how to do that. We've got pretty solid access to most things in legendary forms now. So you need steel plates, low density structures, electric engine units, and that's it. Why are there blue circuits in this requester chest? Who knows? Anyways, so we need legendary steel plates, legendary low density structures, legendary electric engine units. Alright, so this is good because these are things which we need to be producing legendary versions of for a couple other reasons anyways. So we need legendary green circuits engine units, which is just various iron products. So do I have a good supply of this stuff? How much iron do I have? Not much, but I have plenty of green circuits, right? Let's see, where's the legendary green circuits? They should be like requested over here so I can check. Yeah, we've got like 10,000 of them, and Fulgora is continuing to chop away, making absolutely billions of them. And most of them are just getting dismantled down to iron and copper. And why is that filtered to... Why are those filtered to plastic? You can just do that. I'm not sure how those filters... Oh, I must have copy-pasted from this. Yeah, that's fine. So this is legendary plastic. We've got plenty. This is legendary iron and copper. We've got a decent amount, at least. We need just, like, another power pole over there. And... so this is all fine. We have the occasional legendary red circuit getting dismantled as well. So yeah, legendary circuits are never an issue, so we can just break down our legendary green circuits for iron and copper here, or we could just continue to use the Fulgora setup and launch that stuff as well. Okay, so this Fulgora support... Oh, it is set up right. Alright, so we just need to tell Novice to request that stuff, which I think we haven't done. And... okay, oh no, it has, but we should probably have it request even more, because we don't want to have too small of an amount. So those get set up to 5,000. And then Fulgora support here should be dropping those off now. Okay, it's dropped off the legendary iron plates. It seems like we have plenty of legendary copper, although Nope, it's just dropped those off too. Understandable. And while we're at it, probably... No, electronic circuits is already at like 10,000. That's probably too much anyways. Okay, so we have plenty of legendary iron and copper here on Novice. And that should result in plenty of those. It does. So we also need the legendary pipes here, which we can actually just like have this also branch off of this same requester chest. And those aren't going to be able to be super efficient because they're pipes. They're not an intermediate. Is there some fancy... There's probably some fancy machine I can build these in. Apparently not. Oh, I think the fancy alt recipe for pipes is casting them, but that obviously doesn't work with quality. Alright, so then you get set to legendary pipes. And then we get another guy over here. And through the power of using drones to transport items like 5 inches. Tremendously efficient. Where is engine units? And then you get... Oh, that has to be legendary engine units. How do I always get this wrong? I always feel like you can set the recipe and then set the quality later, but you have to do it all at once. Alright, so we have legendary gear wheels, legendary steel plates, and legendary pipes. And then you get productivity modules, and into a box you go. So now we just need to limit both of those to a reasonable amount. And now that is all getting built. You're within range of a speed beacon, so you're not like painfully slow at least. Alright, so that's engine units down. And we needed electric engine units, which is trivial because we have infinite green circuits, and lubricant is just lubricant, so let's just find a lubricant pipe somewhere. Where would our lubricant pipe be? It's actually... No, that's sulfuric acid or something. Close though. Lubricant pipe. Where would the lubricant be? I can just search for it. Okay, so we've got it down here, sort of in this general vicinity. Alright, so then we just need an assembly machine 3 to feed off of that lubricant pipe and make legendary engine units. And then these guys all get placed in. That gets limited down to just a couple of stacks. And we have to get a power pole over there. So then this is legendary green circuits and legendary engine units, and then the productivity modules go in, and let's get a speed beacon here as well so that it can produce them quickly. And then any second now, okay, we have our first legendary electric engine. Alright, what was I even trying to do with this? Oh, I was trying to make legendary crushers, I think. Alright, so we have engine units. We have engine units, we have... How do I keep forgetting every 5 seconds? We have engine units, we have steel plates. Now we just need low-density structures, which is copper, steel plates, and plastic. Alright, so Fulgora support, are you not bringing up legendary plastic? No, you aren't. we need you to do that, and in relatively large quantities as well. So you can go ahead like that. And the iron was... we kind of wanted a lot of that. So you need to be legendary plastic from Fulgora. And there's plenty of that available, so we should be all fine as long as you don't launch too early. Sorry about that. I just sneeze real quick. Okay, so that's going. And then we probably want to... okay, yeah, so currently these are taking things all the way across the planet to launch them, which we definitely don't want. So, instead, let's get a couple more rocket launch pads over this way, and they get their inserters like that, and then there's a random long-handled inserter for no obvious reason. Okay, so those are all in, and we want the speed beacons to make them produce quickly, which we don't need to go crazy. We can just do something like that. That they each get one, and then the second one gets two. So now we just need to somehow get all these items into there. And I think the easiest way would just be requester chests, but it doesn't have to be as long of a distance this time because it's only traveling like 6 inches. So there's all sorts of like weird little boxes with stuff in here, so it's not super easy to just sort them. So you can be legendary plastic, and you can request like 2,000 of it, because that'll be a full rocket silo, and then we can do the same thing with copper and iron. And that should just mean that the drones don't have to travel as far, because it's going to be right here. So the drones won't have to travel very far, and apparently we need a drone port. And then all of that can get built, and it should be good to go. Oh, and we also need power poles down here, obviously. That's important. So we go do that. Now they don't have to take things all the way across over there anymore, hopefully. Or at least they'll have to do it less often, at least. I wonder if we can somehow get these to be like, you know, automatic requests from space platform, except for certain things. We don't want you requesting plastic and stuff anymore. We just want that to come through with these guys. And alright, so that should all be set up. I can't remember what we were working on. Oh right, we needed to do low density structures, and we needed the legendary plastic for that. So let's go. Just random drones dying in Fulgora. Where is that? Have to just like every so often stop by and figure out where the drones have decided to travel that I don't want them to be going this time. So that should get that covered, and then there was more of them up here. And as long as we stick to placing them within drone port range, it's relatively easy. But at some point we're going to have to cover like these areas in here and get the Spidertron out to do it. Alright, for now, let's just find Where's the area where we've been doing this? Right, this area here. So we get... Actually, is there some fancy... There's gotta be like a EM plant or something. Recipe for low density structures. No, apparently not. Oh wait, was it a foundry actually? There was plastic, molten iron, molten copper. Wait, that actually only requires legendary plastic? That's very convenient. Okay, so is there anywhere here on Novice where I have molten iron and molten copper? I guess probably there's molten copper in this area here, but there's no molten iron. That's going to be annoying. Also, it looks like our iron legendary cycling here broke, which I don't really care about because this is like our third most important source of legendary iron, but it is noteworthy at least. Alright, so speaking of molten iron and copper, so yeah, the molten iron is all the way over here. Is there just like some other random spot where I did a foundry just for efficiency's sake? Yes, actually, I have this exact setup to make regular low-density structures, and so it's got all that stuff here. So we just pop a foundry down, tell you to make legendary low-density structures, and now we just need to get both of these in without tripping over each other, which is relatively easy. They just go in like that. And then you can request up some legendary plastic. And that goes in. And then we get a box out, which we can store just a couple stacks of. Alright, so the legendary plastic currently available on Novice is pretty terrible. Also, Fulgora support ran out of space for everything that it wants. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you are solar power based exclusively, which is going to make this kind of annoying, but we can squeeze a couple more of these guys in and then add more solar panels to compensate for the ones that I just removed. Oh, we can't actually do that. Well, we can. It'll just require building up this stuff, which is mildly inefficient use of space platform foundations, but it's fine. Alright, so this gives us... What have I done with this space platform? This is an absolute mess. Why is it like this? See, this here is why I went out of my way to design a new one that is less terrible, which is still under construction. Right, you're still going. You have still not gotten the stuff from Aquilo, actually. What's up with that? It's been a while. Railgun turret, fusion reactor, fusion generator, and somehow that cryogen plant hasn't been placed. Though it's not saying we need them, but it also isn't placing it. Oh, did I do some copy-paste stuff wrong? Probably, yeah, this is definitely not finished. Alright, so we need to just copy-paste that. It must have not had enough space in the zone when I built it, so now we just need to get those to line up properly, like that, and then we click, and now that copy-paste goes all the way far back enough. Okay, so Quilo support 2. You are carrying reactors and generators and no power cells and no rail guns. Alright, so is Aquilo being weird again? Yeah, you need more rocket fuel. So, are you actually the guy who brings rocket fuel? Yes, and you need that to be much higher. So hopefully that all does enough. It seems like Aquilo just isn't successfully launching things. And Aquilo Quantum Support has almost 1,000 barrels, by the way, and that number seems to be increasing. So that's also something that we need to address at some point. Just get rid of all those barrels. Okay, so this is still stopped at Fulgora. It's waiting on more of these guys. Which... Okay, you can just move back. You don't have the space for it, so we're just going to have you head back, and then hopefully the extra 3 cargo bays should be enough. And is there stuff you're carrying in here that you don't need to carry as much? Let's see here. We don't probably need... There's got to be something here that's just completely unnecessary, right? Like, most of this stuff is relevant, though. We could probably just trim down on the numbers. Like, you probably only need to carry 1,000 belts and, like, 500 rail. That can save us some space eventually when we start actually dropping those guys off. Alright, so that's that. We have this barely going. It needs the legendary plastic to work properly. Did you get any legendary plastic delivered? No, you did not. That's fine. It'll show up eventually in a future trip. And then we should have plenty. Alright, so that should be fine once it gets around to it. So then we can make legendary crushers, which is what we wanted to do. So let's go up to here, I guess, because here's where we have sort of our legendary buildings production, just in this random forest. And then we get one of those, and we get one of those, and one of those. And that all gets powered. Then you get told to make legendary crushers, and then we can just read ingredients, set requests, and that should get those handled. And we can limit that down to a tiny amount. What are we launching, by the way? A whole bunch of... Oh, Space Platform Foundations, probably for this guy still. Yeah, that's what's going on. Okay, so that's fine. That can just continue to happen. We have our legendary crushers incoming, so we can go to you and start upgrading with these guys. So those get legendary once that happens. Fast transport is getting temporarily confused, but everything is fine now. And now it's back to just waiting on the Fulgora stuff and I guess the thrusters. So meanwhile, this guy, I called you Fulgora to Vulcanus. I can't actually remember what I wanted to transport between those two places. Probably legendary stuff, but I can't remember what exactly. Probably legendary plastic. And it's fine, though. This is probably not gonna... I don't know. It'll probably end up doing that at some point. The next time we need a space platform to travel between those two places, this is what'll do it. So how are you doing? You have produced one legendary crusher. That's a start. And Fulgora support. You're here over Novice. You haven't managed to bring any plastic, but you have managed to get all this stuff built up. So you have another 60 spaces of inventory size, which should, if that isn't enough, then that will be quite the surprise for me. Genuinely, why did I design this platform like this? It's absolutely horrible in like every possible way. Alright, let's just ignore that. And back to this. We also want... we want legendary assembly machine 3s so that we can get these faster. They're already speed moduled and speed beaconed, so... Okay, we can start actually just... The easy fix is to just make these guys legendary beacons, so that should increase production speed, which will be handy. So production speed increased, and then we are going to want to figure out what it takes to make legendary assembly machines. Oh, it's speed modules. Okay, that's should be fine because it's just speed module 1s, and then a whole bunch of iron and copper related things. Okay, so we are going to need a row of like 3 of these just feeding into each other. Like that. And then we will be loading in other ingredients through this way. And you are legendary tier 1 assembly machines. Legendary tier 2 assembly machines. And legendary tier 3 assembly machines. Then you get a power pole in there, and you get an output. Okay, so you get plates, gear wheels, green circuits. Plates and gear wheels and green circuits. You get steel plates, gear wheels, and green circuits. That's surprisingly not much more complicated. Steel plates, gear wheels, green circuits, and then you get legendary tier 1 speed modules, which we're also going to have to craft. So let's get those, and that is just red and green circuits. So that just goes straight through and gets powered. Legendary green circuits, legendary red circuits, and now we just have to limit that to just a couple stacks, limit that to maybe 3 stacks because it is assembly machines, so we might use quite a few of them at a time, conceivably. And then we just throw in some modules to make this entire process faster. There we go. So now we have these guys going, and it should be fine. Reason to not just copy the assembler's recipe into the requester chest. Yeah, I mean, I could do that, and I do that sometimes. It's just like slightly different clicks. I don't know. I like having a bunch of these requested at once, because the higher the total number requested, the more drones will be traveling to do that at a time, which can be relevant in terms of like total throughput, basically. It's not a huge deal though, it doesn't really matter. Alright, so that is going, and now we have legendary assembly machines. And okay, we also have a bunch of drones just sitting out here charging, which reminds me that at some point we wanted to do legendary drone ports, which will help recharging. And those are relatively easy. Gosh, it's so nice that like all of this, now that we have a practically infinite supply of legendary red circuits and green circuits, practically everything that was like previously kind of difficult and annoying to do, we can now just sort of make it happen without much difficulty. So we get you, and then that. I don't know why it sets that to 337. It's a weird number. But now that just goes through, and then we limit that, and you should have everything, right? Yeah, we might need to increase the production of some of the legendary intermediate things, like steel plates. We might need to make those go faster, but we will see. So now we have legendary roboports. A couple of these guys, that's 0.25 per second. Okay, let's get you some speed modules, and actually, that might as well make you legendary beacons just for the extra speed. And speaking of making things legendary for extra speed, congratulations, you get to be the first one of those. So was previously 0.25 per second, and now it's like 0.93 and gonna get higher soon. So yeah, that's just like easily 5 times the production rate of those, which is pretty cool. It's still the major limiting factor, which is fine. Legendary roboports are also starting to show up, which we'll have to use those at some point. Right now it's going to be a little bit too much effort to place, probably, unless we can find like some of these guys who have serious amounts of drones waiting at them. Like, yeah, actually these guys who are directly next to the cargo landing pad, they may as well get legendary ports just to speed that up a little bit. And they get fully powered up, and yeah, production's totally fine, nothing to worry about there. This is still nuclear powered, by the way. Alright, so that is that. We're up to 34 of those. So that's all looking good. So if we go up to this, we can now... Okay, so these get those boosts in, and that'll make them go extra fast. We also have the legendary crushers getting crafted, which I assume they're just still a work in progress. Okay, it says 2, and we need 10. So it's because of the Fulgora support not having plastic, which it now is bringing back plastic. So once this makes it back, we should be able to produce our legendary crushers with no problem. And we could also like dismantle legendary red circuits to get those, but that seems unnecessary at the moment. Okay, so the other thing which we really wanted... Oh right, we wanted to get legendary big mining drills for the resource drain decrease. so that we don't have to go out and find more patches every so often. So we need a whole bunch of stuff which we basically already have, and we need tungsten carbide on Vulcanus. So this is what this guy was actually originally designed to do, right? So you are going to take a whole bunch of these ingredients from Fulgora. So you just get like 1,000 each of those, and make sure to import them from Fulgora. And 1,000, not 100. And you also want legendary red circuits, which, I don't know, who cares? Let's grab a bunch of them. Not from Novice, from Fulgora. Okay, what else did that need? So advanced circuits, electric engine units, which we actually have on Novice. So we like have those already crafted. So we might send that up from here just to reduce the need to do all that work. And so a single rocket of these is 400, so let's just set it at that, and then we'll probably need to get this set up so that it can actually have 400 producing at a time. Where's our... Oh right, electrical engine units was over here by this. So that is just like... We'll give it a full row. This technically needs slightly less than a full row, but that should be fine. Okay, so you are doing big mining drill. We have advanced circuits from Fulgora, electrical engine units from Novice. The mining drill is just some iron and green circuits, and the molten iron can just be grabbed locally. Okay, so then you just request some of those from Fulgora. And that should be more or less set up for your proper actual use case, and then you'll have to stop by Aquilo every so often. Okay, so now we just have to wait for the electrical engine units for your first trip. And you don't have any input problems, so you can start getting some legendary stuff going. So that can be legendary, and the speed beacon can be legendary. This is currently 0.33 per second. Now it's 0.83 per second. And once the speed beacon shows up, it'll probably get up to like 1-ish per second. Man, legendary stuff is real fast once you can get it. And I just want to see that legendary beacon show up. There we go. Yeah, 1.26 per second. And still with full productivity modules, by the way. Speaking of full productivity modules, how are those going? Those are still... Okay, we actually have like 1 billion of them. And this is... It's still the biter eggs is the limiting factor, but it's had plenty of time to cook, so we've got plenty of them. And the quality modules are also doing fine. We've got 150 of them stocked up. Let's actually let that stock go up to like 300, just in case we have to do mass scale quality upscaling at some point again, because there's still like this stuff on Vulcanus, right, that we still need to do. The tungsten in particular. We've had this running super slowly and probably inefficiently in the background, but this is like not much of a belt going in. So we have some of the various tungsten that we need, and I want to make the legendary big mining drills. So let's get those in. And you are going to be... Why can I... Oh, right. Those are in foundries only, not assembly machines. Okay, so you get legendary big mining drills. You actually need to be next to molten iron, so that's probably not terribly difficult to find, but let's see, is it over here somewhere? No, it's going to be even further up. Alright, so here's a molten iron pipe. Gosh, I've forgotten how messy, like, the original design of Vulcanus was. It's been a long time since I've worked on this planet, basically at all. Aside from the legendary stuff where I have mostly just not even been in this general vicinity. So let's take this molten iron pipe out somewhere out of the way, just so that we have the space for this. And now we pop down a foundry, set to big mining drills, and actually set to legendary big mining drills. There we go, and get the power lines connected up. Okay, so now you need a requester chest, and that is going to be bringing in legendary red circuits, which will be coming from Fulgora. Legendary electric engine units, which will be coming in from Novice. That requester chest needs power as well. And legendary tungsten carbide, which will be coming in from here. Okay, and then we need to do the big mining drills, or the regular mining drills. So let's get you electric mining drill, and you need a requester chest, which takes copper plates, or iron plates, not copper. I don't know why I said copper. Iron plates, gear wheels, and green circuits. Okay, so that's all in. And we actually need to make the gear wheels, so let's just get those off of this same thing. So you make legendary gear wheels, and then output them to a box, and you only need a couple. And then you also output to a box, and we only need like the tiniest possible amount. Then that all gets powered up. And let's find some productivity modules for you, because you can actually use productivity modules. And that should be everything eventually. So once this... Alright, your electrical engine units are currently on the way. So once those land here, we should be all good to go. Then we can just bring this down, and we also need the legendary crushers. Those still haven't been built somehow. Okay, that's crazy, but... So now we just need to set this up. So instead of doing all that stuff, you go Novice, Fulgora, Vulcanus, and you go Novice, and probably just like 45 seconds of inactivity. Same thing with Fulgora, just keep moving every so often, and then there we go. So that should have you making the trip, and you have all of your engine units. So now you're headed up for the copper plates and iron plates, and the various circuits, and that should be everything, assuming Fulgora is capable of keeping up. And these guys are still... They're still bringing iron plates all the way over to there, which I really want them to not do that. I really would rather than just simply launch the iron plates up this way. Now, is there some way I can just ban that entirely? The only thing would be to not use drones at all for this, so if we were to just make these just regular chests and... Okay, yeah, so if you go like that... Is that like the main source of iron plates? Yes, so you can do that. Then... This is going to be annoying, which is why I didn't want to do it. I wanted to just have drone ports do it, but I don't like seeing 10 billion drones doing all the work. So then that comes down here and launches like that. So now, once all those foundations show up, and once that gets built, we can take this off of that entirely. And apparently we don't have any low density structures. How is it possible that on Flagora of all planets we don't have low density structures? Where are those supposed to be coming from? And is there a jam in here? The gear wheels are... Yes, there actually was, it looks like. It looks like there was a gear wheel jam somehow. So that is not good. And is that... Where are these guys? Yeah, so these guys just don't have a very fast grinding system. So, we have the gear wheels coming through here. They get fed into these. And these guys would be doing fine if this down here was fast enough. So first of all, is that all upgraded? Yes, it is. Okay, so let's get... we're going to be randomly copying train tracks by doing this. That's fine. We can maybe... let's just... There's got to be some way. We'll just have to dismantle the train tracks that we build after the fact. So if we just do like that... Okay, I don't think we broke the train tracks at all. So now we take this belt forwards and through there. And that should get all built up and functional. And that should take another solid chunk of the iron plates out, which should help these guys crunch the gear wheels down fast enough to keep up. Which, is that still just like a major limiting factor? So this train is filled up. The gear wheel belt is backlogged. Is it causing delays? It might be causing delays. It's hard to tell. It might also just be a scrap shortage problem, or we might have just forgotten... I should check this first, actually, because we very well might have just forgotten to put the low-density structures into passive provider chests, and yeah, that's probably what happened. Okay, so... Which one of you feels like becoming a passive provider chest? Let's just get them just in there. And that should be all we need for that. Alright, so back over to the gear wheel side of things. We apparently missed some power poles in there, and let's see, that... Yeah, no, that's definitely in the way. So we need you to just sort of go under that and then just bypass this whole area. And then that should be fine. Okay, Okay, so that is going now. So low density structure supply should be repaired pretty soon once those areas down here get built. And oh, they need power pole, obviously. So there we go, and now we've got plenty of low density structures. And yeah, so now the amount being requested for pickup is not increasing, which means that we've hit all that we need. And that is all fine. Also, the output of this is looking like it's not definitely able to keep up. It's definitely running, but it's sort of running very awkwardly. So we might need to fix that. Maybe get these top guys up here. These top guys up here look like they're running full speed, and it isn't fast enough, so that's an easy solution. So we can just get some of you guys like that, and then oh, I see these guys up here they got interrupted by this drone port, so they're not connected across properly, so we can get those guys in as well. And they are just supposed to connect up very naturally, so that shouldn't be an issue at all. And then hopefully the extra machines running should solve some of those throughput problems that we have here. And of course there's just a random elevated rail right above that belt that I want to be looking at, so I can't see what's going on. Alright, but that's all that. So, Factorio Vulcanus, what are you doing? Are you headed back for a refuel? Yes, you are. So you actually seem to have just no spare fuel right now. So I guess it has been a while since you stopped at Aquilo, so that's not surprising. Oh, did I not give that a wait condition? I didn't. Alright. Let's give you a good solid 45-second wait condition. And that should be on all future variants of the interrupt. And hopefully that should be fine. We have 50 on the way and hundreds available on the planet. We've got all of our circuits and everything, so that's all good. And just need that to land. There we go. So that's landed, and now we're off. I guess because the way the interrupt works, maybe it's fine, like, to not have that delay. So now you just have to make it back. And these guys being so fast is so nice. It's just so nice. Alright, so this has started to get built at least. Looks like we're missing a couple generators. And we're also missing all sorts of other things, but at least something. We're probably going to need solar panels to actually jumpstart this, actually, because these inserters won't run without power. I just considered that. Alright, so let's just find some of this random space in here. We just need enough solar panels for these inserters to run, like, once each ever, so it shouldn't be a huge issue. So that can go in. And where is this? Aquilo support 2. Do you have... Oh, I need to give you... No, you do have this. Oh, I see. It hasn't been checked. Alright, so yeah, that has to be checked so that it requests stuff. And that'll also be requesting some firearm magazines from the planet as well, just to get that jump started. And the solar panels should let us do all this stuff. So now the inserters will technically function, which should allow all this stuff to get done. Not enough to fill one rocket. Okay, well, you need to be custom minimum payload of like 20. And it still isn't... Did I check that? Yes, it should be launching now, but it isn't. I just want that to show up. Okay, there we go. There must have been something else taking up all the slots on Novice, which is kind of surprising, because not... Oh, right, it's all this 5 billion launches of ammunition. That makes sense. So those are all going to launch, and then the fluoroketone is going to launch. And then one of these guys will eventually pick up enough stuff from Aquilo to launch some fuel there. And then it should be fine. Alright, so Fulgora support, you are back at Fulgora bringing stuff to Novice. Fulgora to Vulcanus, you're almost back into the loop. Yeah, the trip out to Aquilo is unfortunately pretty far, so it takes a little while. So you will then be back to heading there, and now you're on your way to Vulcanus. And you've got plenty of fuel, right? You got 50 spares. You don't seem to have any spare fluoroketone barrels, but that's fine, because you don't really need them. You've got plenty as is. Okay, so Novice needs to request more fluoroketone just so it can launch that stuff easily. So you can request, like, I don't know, 150 maybe. Okay, so now fast transport has got fluoroketone on the way. So that should be covered, that aspect of it. Then we just need the fusion power cells to show up. It's funny watching all these inserters run in super slow motion. And watching all the firearm magazines, which we will eventually need, show up. So that's good to have in advance so that we don't have to wait as long for the asteroids to jumpstart itself. And then what else was there? Let's check on our legendary production here on Novice. So we've got most of that done. That's all done. You are waiting on legendary steel plates. Okay, so let's make sure that works well. So you are just an electric furnace with some good productivity, not doing much fancy. Alright, so first of all, we can upgrade all of you guys in terms of productivity. And this iron plate input apparently needs to be a little bit higher. Not a crazy amount higher, but just a little bit. And then let's get you legendary beaconed up so that can be faster as well. And then we need electric furnaces for like basically nothing. And actually, is that even the best machine? Alright, apparently it is somehow, because the alt recipe for steel is in the foundry again, which we can't do with quality. So, do we want to make... We need legendary stone bricks for electric furnaces, which is kind of a nuisance. And yeah, let's just say we're fine with this being relatively slow, and we can just add more if we really need to. But our legendary iron plate production is definitely... We need a little bit more, because because it seems like it's sort of all going this way and getting used up instantly. Which isn't like the worst thing ever, but you do kind of want it to be more efficient, if at all possible. So that's all going. This is just taking what it can get. And the gear wheels, man, that takes absolutely enormous amounts of plates just for this. It should be almost done filling up its buffer, though. So that should be done filling up the buffer, which means, yeah, so now that's fine. You are outputting as best as you can. Alright, so that's all looking good. Then, let's see, there's like 5 different kind of simple things that I'm watching for. Okay, I think I didn't tell Vulcanus to request all those things. I really wish there's some easier way of doing that. Where's the space platform hub? It's up here. Oh, and you're still on manual request mode. That's annoying. Alright, so you are going to request for some green circuits and some legendary iron and copper, just in case your own local supply isn't enough, and some red circuits. Alright, so is that... Oh, right, and legendary electric engine units as well. So you can be all set up like that. Apparently there's a demolisher like right up there, which we haven't needed to do all that much demolisher clearing here, but we will have to at some point. So this is all going. We have basically 0 legendary iron plates here, because they're all getting turned into gear wheels instantly. That actually looked like... Was there a power issue? No. Power looks fine. We have a fusion generator here, so it shouldn't be a problem. I don't know why this just looks like it's going slower. Oh, the reason it looks like it's going slower is because it isn't beaconed, so it's actually just incredibly slow. Alright, so Fulgora to Vulcanus is really quick, so it shouldn't have serious problems. It looked like you did drop off some iron plates somewhere, because you don't have them right now. Fast transport still hasn't gotten any of the Aquilo stuff. I really need to just notice when that space platform gets to Aquilo so that I can check to see what's happening over there. Right now we've got plenty. Right now we've got plenty of rocket building supplies, so that's not an issue. So I don't know why we're not launching things successfully onto Aquilo support 2. Like, you should be... Is it a platform space issue, maybe? We can add another... We can add another couple of those in case that's somehow a problem, but I can't see how it would be. I mean, there's still plenty of space before that. And you are stopped at Fulgora. You're about to head out to Aquilo, so hopefully we'll try to notice that. You are most of the way to Vulcanus, to Fulgora already, and you are getting all these guys launched up. And did I not finish this setup over here? Alright, it's this one up here, which has iron plates going into rocket silos directly. So then we want to get a similar setup with copper plates, where we just get 2 of you out, And then this can just wrap around. And then down. Those belts need to not continue so that they don't cause problems. And then that belt needs to go underground for a bit so that this one can sneak through. And then you go into there. And that should be fine. How is this? Why does this always what happens? That's gone the wrong way. Alright, now you can do that. And once the copper plates get sent along that belt, they should be fine. Is this still working properly? Yeah, we don't have an overflow of anything in any of these guys. They all look fine. So that is just working along as usual. And there's still plenty of sulfuric acid. So yes, this is just working fine and has been for long enough that it's probably completely stable, if I had to guess. It's always a bit hard to tell. Aquila Support 2, you are still at Fulgora. And we might need to get more rocket fuel production on Fulgora, apparently. That seems to be an issue. Aquilo has plenty of rockets ready to launch. I wonder if it's some weird Roboport thing, because I know the drones on this planet are worse than usual, and we also have way fewer of them. So if we're trying to launch things, that is potentially a problem, but we're not trying to launch like bulk or anything. Maybe it just gets... It might just get distracted sitting and waiting for the... Oh, what's it called? The science packs? Do you even bring science packs? Yes. So that could be it. But you have 1,000 of those already before you even get to Aquilo. And that cargo is not less than or equal to 0, so that's not the issue. Alright, you're on your way to Aquilo now, so we'll just have to hope to catch you in the act next time around. So now you are headed back to Vulcanus. Wait, is this just a hilariously inefficient path? Yeah, we just need to swap around the order so it goes Fulgora, Novice, Vulcanus instead of this. So we just need you to be like that so that you spend less time traveling. And that is in. Vulcanus is receiving various deliveries of random junk as it usually does. Still none of those. And we have... This is still running. It's still hilariously slow. So once we have the better mining drills, we're going to get like a proper tungsten ore cycling setup so that we can just not worry about that anymore. But I don't want to do that and shovel millions of tungsten ore into a furnace until we have big mining drills to make us not actually lose anything by doing so. So that's going to be a bit of a delay. Over here, the gear wheels still don't look quite right. So these... Yeah, so these are about to fill up like any second now, and then it's just that, and now the whole thing is jammed. Okay, so we need to spend more time staring at the gear wheel production and figuring out how to dismantle more of these in an efficient manner. So, what is going... Oh, I see. This needs to connect across properly as well. And then we're going to want all of that to be upgraded. All of those to be upgraded as well, probably. probably helps. So now this bottom chunk here is at least running. Like, it's not great, but it's at least doing something at all. Now, we've got like 2 of these loops in here, which is definitely wrong. There's only supposed to be 1. So, yeah, there's definitely only supposed to be 1 of these, and it's probably supposed to be like in here, in the middle, not where either of these are. So let's undo that, and okay, so most of you actually gets rebuilt, but then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So then we go like 6 through. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then these guys back here do that whole loop thing. And that should be correct. So we have that. And now that should be nice and balanced. So this one here is actually doing a lot better than this one is. I don't know why. So we definitely have space for more output, and the input seems like it's maybe fine. So let's make some of these guys legendary, probably. Wait, no, that's facing backwards. It doesn't really matter. I don't know why I did that. I just randomly decided to rotate it for no reason. Okay, so let's get those legendaried, just in case that makes a difference. It'll be there. And then all of this seems to be running reasonably quickly now. It could be better. Are we... These belts are definitely not running at full speed still. So we can still get more out of them. How do we do that? We need to do something. I don't know what. So we can try to like stack these up better so that there's less wasted space on the belts. Yeah, that's probably what we need to do. So we have this stupid rail thing being in the way of everything is really annoying. So I think we need to bring power across that way so that we can dismantle that without causing issues. Then we need a whole bunch of those to actually, we can actually reorganize this a little bit. So that needs to go down that way, and then into a giant row of boxes, which basically just serve as a way of getting them stacked up properly. And then that all goes through, and once it's all built, this should then be outputting full stacks of iron plates. So we need power poles. Alright, so that is now outputting full stacks of iron plates instead of the sort of inefficient mixed bag that it was doing before. And is that single-handedly solving the problem? No, because we've got these guys who are also having issues. And actually, okay, there's an even better way. So if we take all those belts out and like, if we absolutely, okay, yeah, there's just no way. So we just need to run that belt along up that way and not go underground. So we can just have these, because these aren't qualities, so they're always going to be outputting the same thing, we can just have these output directly into stack inserters, which should solve the problem. And then that goes like so. And we just gotta wait for drones to figure stuff out, and then we're gonna need a whole bunch of power poles into all of those. And then that should also be outputting at full stacks once the power poles get placed. Alright, so now that should be more space efficient on the belt, which lets more of this row get used, which should be quite helpful. So yeah, now this entire row is going at full speed. This one is doing fine, probably because of these legendaries in the front. So let's get legendary recyclers into this row as well. And I don't know why some of these are like, they were flipped horizontally at some point. Okay, so that should be fine. Actually, based on the way it looks, we might not even need them to be like this. But now we should have control over our gear wheel supply. So the train shows up, it unloads. I wonder if the unloading time is itself causing problems. So the gear wheels now are all getting picked off before they make it all the way through this row. So that is officially dealing with all the gear wheels. And yeah, definitely. So is the loading and unloading time causing problems? Yes, it seems to be the case that we need to just get these guys to unload even faster. So, fortunately, that's not terribly difficult to do, although we will have to move about some of these power poles. So that goes down to there. And then you get your power poles in. So then we have this one, which, okay, actually we can squeeze even another row of boxes into this. So the goal is to just get these guys outputting as fast as humanly possible. And we're going to have to mess with some of the belts because these rows are a little bit wider now, but shouldn't be a huge issue. So that is that row all in. Then we get you in the same way, and you're actually going to cause all sorts of problems because you're right here. But hopefully we can figure those out. So that all goes in. Then you get a power pole on either side. And now we just need to figure out, you go up like that. So now it's just this one in here, which is kind of funky. And it's got these two, which need to already be on the belt. So I think we are going to need to move this whole thing off. And we also need that power pole to show up, which, is this buffer chest not requesting power poles? It is, but they just are deciding to not show up for some reason. Thank you, very cool. Alright, so we've managed to get that whole delivery unloaded. And this is actually, I mean, they're all outputting onto belts, right? So it's probably fine. It's probably not the end of the world to have it like that. And then we just have to look at what it's like over on this side, where fortunately we have plenty of space to do stuff. So these these are loading up pretty fast. We lost a laser turret on Novice, as one does. And the problem is that, like, these gear wheels just keep coming. Like, there's just no end in sight. And I don't know how they've managed to show up that intensely. But, like, by the time the train is gone, the boxes are mostly full already. So, we need to fix that. So step one is to just sort of move that lightning collector over that way a little bit. And we can just dismantle the current existing one. And now we just need to get these guys all the way up. So these are the inserters into the train. Then we get the inserters into the steel chests. And now we just have to get the steel chests themselves. And then we'll have to figure out the power poles once that's done. Okay, so that's all in. Now the power poles go. And hopefully that should cover all of the space. So what is that? Fulgora support is once again out of space platform. What is this? What is going on? Why are there just like 10 trillion just legendary iron plates just sitting on the ground for no reason? That's bizarre. Alright, so we can find more space for cargo bays at least. Just in there. And out there. And out like that. And now that's even more excess space. I don't know why this needs so much space. It shouldn't be carrying an infinite amount of anything. But whatever. Alright, so the gear wheel supply is now, this is all going, except we just need some of these new guys to get attached properly. So you go into there, you go out that way, and you come down this way. That's definitely not right. That's definitely... Okay, no, wait. You need to go in, like, there. And then that belt doesn't exist. Okay, and then we have this strange thing again. And then you need to go down there while that belt doesn't exist. And then that needs to extend the rest of the way down. Okay. So, the good news is that it hadn't completely filled up by the time the train showed back up. I still don't know if that's typical or not, but we will have to find out. And we can get a little bit extra by getting that belt in, and this will be about as fast as possible for a one-sided train loader to go, minus any weirdness with these guys grabbing from the wrong sides, but that shouldn't matter. If we're fully saturating it, that shouldn't matter. And we have apparently managed to catch back up, so this belt is no longer fully saturated, and it's just running normally again. Okay, so how is Fulgora the Vulcanist doing? Do we have any of these? Okay. Theoretically, yes. I forgot to do the last couple steps of setting you up. So you get those requested, then you get an output chest, which We're gonna limit to, how many did we limit the normal ones to? To 2 stacks, and that was mostly fine. So let's just have that limited to 4 stacks, which is probably a bit too many, but not to a concerning degree. And then we need you to carry way more iron plates, it seems. So can you just do like 5,000 or something? Just something ridiculous so that we don't have problems. And then we can also just... yeah, we can also just expand this. We have plenty of modules for it now. So you can go down like that much, and all of that will be built. And we're going to have to bring in a massive delivery of modules for this, but it should get local iron plate production up and running so that we don't have to rely so much on Fulgora for that. Because the Fulgora iron plate production is like a byproduct of a byproduct, so I don't want to rely completely on that. So if we can just get this up and running, and transport platform, you're what we've been using for running modules and stuff around. You can also get some foundations, probably, because I know Vulcanus needs a couple of those. So if Novice happens to have any foundations, which I don't know if we ever bothered to deliver them up here. Okay, we didn't. So let's just get that in, just for the convenience of things that want foundations but don't want to go all the way out to Aquilo to get them. And Aquilo support 2 visits Novice and carries foundations, so that should be fine. Speaking of which, I didn't notice your last Aquilo visit, but you've managed to fail to pick up fusion power cells again somehow. And fast transport belt is still not finished, still hasn't gotten its railgun turrets. Okay, that's quite irritating. I really need to just spot that when it happens. And maybe get one of these faster trips to go out and do that better. So you're currently stopped at Vulcanus. You're delivering some things, which I guess Vulcanus just coincidentally needed that you happen to have. And there goes some of the legendary engine units and vet circuits. Alright, so this is mostly getting built. You also need more recyclers. Does transport platform... it does carry recyclers, so that should be fine. Although, I don't know... no, we should have enough of the recyclers requested for that to not be an issue. So we just need a whole bunch of modules. And then that should get running. So meanwhile, back up all the way up here, we have 45 legendary big mining drills. That is great. So now we can come down here and start using those. So you all get that. I don't know why it doesn't want to... oh, because that one is already tapped. Yeah, that makes sense. So we just need to get all of these guys placed in. And then we're also going to want to be delivering these over to Novice and Fulgora for their own mining operations. Obviously, Gleba and Aquilo don't have mining, so they don't need that. Alright, did I get everything in this patch? No, I think I missed that one. Alright, so... oh, it's just... no, yeah. I think we got everything in this patch except for this one. Okay. And then those are fully used. They can be removed. Alright, so that is that. Resource drain. Now basically nothing. We went from 50% down to like 8%. So that is pretty neat. That patch should last a fair bit longer now. And are we now low on tungsten carbide? Yes, we are. What a coincidence that that is what our next step is to upgrade. Speaking of, how is this going? So you need the recyclers and the modules. So transport platform is the guy who carries those, and you'll almost be back. And you can actually carry a lot more. So you can carry 150 of those, and 50 of those probably should be fine. Yeah, that should be enough. And then you also want 100 foundation and 13 recyclers. You've got both of those already. Well, you've got the recyclers already. You have the foundation request, but I don't think we have foundation to deliver, although we might. Yeah, I think we do, actually. I think Aquilo Support 2 stopped by and did that real quick. So now we just have to get all this stuff launched, including apparently some turbo transport belts from Novice for some reason. Don't know why we're getting those, but not gonna bother fixing it since it's not really an issue. Those will just get replaced at some point. It was probably restocking Fulgora, actually, which is good for it to have. Alright, then back up here. This is still working. Yes, we have a bit of a red circuit backlog, but that's fine. The reason those buffer chests exist is because sometimes you get a bit of a backlog. Okay, then over here we have copper wire and iron plates, and they are all good. So now we can turn that into no longer being provider chests. So those can just be like ordinary old buffer chests. Although we might... I don't know if we actually have enough of those for what we're currently using it for. Which is kind of ideal because it means we don't need to worry about wasting as much because it's all getting used. Okay, so that's Fulgora Vulcanus getting its launches again. It's got plenty of copper because it's taking it to Vulcanus, which has plenty of copper, right? Yeah, I got like probably like 50,000 copper. Maybe not that much, but like maybe 10,000 copper all set up in that. Alright, so back here, transport platform, you are still getting just sort of random nonsense launched up. And the quality modules are arriving, though. So there's 150 quality modules on the way, in addition to a bunch of really genuinely just a bunch of random nonsense. So that's all fine. We just need all those launches to happen. There's not any problems with launching here, right? We've got thousands of spares for everything. So yeah, that should be fine. And we even have rockets going. Oh, is this? This is because we've set the... Okay, so we can fix that on transport platform. Your custom minimum payload definitely does not need to be 4. You can just go the default minimum payload for those because we have plenty of them now. And that should help a little bit. So we've got 100 of those on the way, apparently 172 quality modules on the way. So that's all working nicely. I still don't know what's going wrong with Aquilo. It's gotta be not enough rocket silos. Maybe the platform just needs to wait longer. Yeah, okay, so let's also give you like 35 seconds of inactivity instead of just purely waiting for 120 seconds. So that should be fine. So now you're just sitting here. And rocket fuel on Fulgora, apparently we don't have enough of that. So where is our rocket fuel production and what's going wrong? Rocket fuel production. We have solid fuel here. It's just occasionally producing steam power. Rocket fuel is up here, and it isn't getting enough solid fuel. And, okay, so we need to... So these guys are all properly efficient, but I think we just need this to be set up to like 300 or something, just so we have more drones doing that task. Yeah, we really need to be more efficient with our drones at some point. Like, all of these guys traveling across this massive gap is causing problems. But it's not super easy to solve. At least they're doing it kind of continually instead of just like occasionally trying to do something and completely failing. So we've got that going for us at least, but it still could be a whole lot better. Okay, so these guys seem like they have enough rocket fuel. They have enough solid fuel now, and the light oil supply should... I should have taken this into account when designing that, so it should be fine as well. Yeah, definitely. So now these just run at basically full speed. And let's get them going even faster, because why not? And eventually we'll have to get legendary speed modules up here as well. And this box of solid fuel is probably never going to run out. Okay, we've actually currently not having drones make the giant trip. Although maybe that's just because they're all out over here doing some nonsense. Yeah, what are all you guys doing? You are taking legendary iron plates down here for what reason exactly? Genuinely, where are you all going? What is all this for? And also, where are they even coming from? I thought I had turned off this supply of legendary iron plates. Yeah, there's no legendary iron plates to be gained up here. At least not that I'm aware of. And yet, somehow... Oh, they're bringing legendary iron plates from here all the way up to there. Okay, that's fine, because that's temporary, right? Okay, actually this whole system is jammed again, and it's probably just gonna continue to be jammed forever, so yeah, that's fine. So these guys are taking iron plates out of that box and sending them onwards. That will eventually run out and not be an issue. Although... Okay, so... somehow these got disconnected from the blue circuits. This splitter wasn't correct. So we need that splitter to do something like that in order to keep these guys launching properly, which we might as well have them launch away the rest of what they have. Transport platform, meanwhile, has everything of significance. So you can head up to Vulcanus, and that should, in theory, get all of this done. And then we should be in the clear from there. Tungsten mining should get marginally improved around the edges here. And then we will need to figure out, is this current supply of tungsten, first of all... So first of all, the current supply of tungsten isn't even going fast enough. So we can just real quick and lazy upgrade all those belts. And this is the source of turbo transport belts. We'll definitely have plenty of them. So those can all go across. What does the drone network on Vulcanus even look like? Oh, we've got thousands of logistics bots and almost no construction bots. Lovely. That makes sense. So all these guys should get built in, and that should let us use the entire current tungsten supply. Just, we need these belts to be faster so that it can take the stuff looping back and the stuff coming through for the first time. And actually, an easier way of doing that, which we should also do, is we have you come around and output to both sides of the belt so that it's nice and even. So you now go like that. Whereas these outputs should theoretically only be going on one side of the belt or something. Okay, so that is all in. And this is still backlogging a little bit, but this area down here isn't, which is what's important. So we now have full utilization of all that, and this is just waiting on the tungsten ore. Why did I do that? That's weird. What is this passive provider chest even for? It does nothing. So we have all this tungsten ore, which eventually we're going to want to turn into what? Tungsten plates for something, right? There's something we want tungsten plates for, but I can't remember what. So now this is looping better, but it's still only doing like this limited amount based on what we currently have available. So we need to just find... I guess we can upgrade these beacons to get it going faster. And that will require us to get legendary beacons over to Vulcanus, which should be fine. Okay. Fast transport. It's got everything except the fusion power cells, and that's just because I didn't set that correctly, probably. So, that's now set up. Novice, you should be requesting those, right? Are you not? Fusion power cells, where are they? Okay, Novice just wasn't requesting fusion power cells. So we need to get that in. And then somebody needs to deliver those down to it. Like, did Aquila Support 2 ever get them? No, it didn't. But maybe it'll succeed this time. And let's even set that up to 100, just in case. That one's on its way. So this platform here is just doing its thing. And it's got plenty of asteroids and is throwing away most of them. So you are doing fine. Obviously these railguns are obsolete on the trip as it currently takes it. And we still keep randomly losing drones on Fulgora. Which, were they really down here? Why was a drone even down there? It doesn't... Why? I don't know why a drone would ever want to be in that area. But, alright. We can place those in. Get the Spidertron to run over there to actually construct them. And hopefully that will be fine. Meanwhile, the scrap here is doing okay. Okay. So now we can use the other side of this trip, actually, because we want to pick up legendary big mining drills from Vulcanus and bring them back to Fulgora, where we can then use them to mine scrap more efficiently. And where is our... Here it is. Our system for this. So you get to add big mining drills, legendary, keep like 20 on hand at a time. And that should be good. So eventually those will make it through and stuff will happen. So this platform is currently doing its thing. And this one still hasn't been built somehow. We're only missing railguns and fusion power cells. And Aquilo Support 2 is almost at Aquilo, so I'll be able to see what the heck is going on there. We have 500 spare fusion power cells, and we have 18 spare railguns. And rocket capacity is 1, so that shouldn't be an issue for those. Okay, why are you like 57% done before you decided to stop running? That's a weird spot for you to be. I wonder if you're like jammed or something. There might be some sort of weird bug with that. Who knows? Alright, so this space platform is almost there. And we're gonna watch it and see what happens with it. Okay. So, Aquilo is the place where the launches happen. We're gonna have to watch both that and that at the same time. So Aquilo and Aquilo Support 2 are the things we're looking at. So first of all, like, is there some problem with loading and launching rockets from here? There's definitely not like a power grid issue, right? Yeah, there's no way. There's sort of weird spike of cryogenic plants there, which is interesting. So, is this just not staying long enough? That's gotta be the thing, right? It's just like showing up and then immediately leaving or something. Alright, so you are loading up Foundation onto Aquilo Support 2. So that is one of the things we expect. And it's actually taking a long-ish time. So the first launch happens now. And Aquilo Support 2 is... It doesn't have like an overwhelming amount of inactivity. Maybe set that to 45 just to give it an extra couple seconds. Okay, so the foundations are here and the fusion reactors are on their way. So the fusion reactors get launched. They each get a rocket. Oh, and then we probably won't have another rocket to launch after that, which is probably the issue. And then it's going to take too long. It's going to just take too long to get a whole other rocket in. Okay, so yeah, that stuff is all arriving. You don't have a rocket ready to craft. And you have a second rocket set up and ready to go, so hopefully that will be fine. I don't know why... Oh, it's because this one produces faster because it doesn't have all of the extra beacons powering it. So, okay. The power grid here should be totally fine, right? If we just, like, remove all these pointless efficiency beacons, now you are able to launch rockets a lot more quickly. And you have 45 seconds of inactivity to go, which just got reset before it even got too far. You're also dropping off your blue circuits, which helps. I keep clicking on Fulgora instead of Aquilo, and so now, even with that slight power boost, we still have extreme overkill in terms of power production. So you are both launching. So yeah, I think getting the rockets to be able to launch faster should be the solution to the problem. So getting the fusion generators up. That will take a while. Yeah, this actually is a very slow launch process off of only 2 rocket silos. Let's get... It shouldn't be terribly difficult to just slap a couple more rocket silos on, right? Just go there and there. Now our poor drones are gonna do a lot of work, and we don't actually have the rocket silos. So you are going to need to start crafting more rocket silos again. And that is going to require some concrete, which is going to be a whole giant process. But I do think it's pretty clear that we do need this. Just because this actually is taking ages just to load things up. We haven't even gotten to the fusion power cells, the railgun turrets. They're like last priority. So we are almost done launching the fusion generators, and I think the drone ports are also an issue. Like, it just takes so long for drones to get anywhere in this planet. So we can help that by upgrading to higher quality drone ports and drones. So that should be helpful. This is still going, and then we should have the cryogenic plants queued up next. And once we get a billion launches of those, which is also going to take 2 years, then we can start working on the fusion power cells, which should be fine. So we just need a lot of concrete up here. So does Aquilo support? Are you carrying concrete? You're carrying 1,000. How about you carry 2,000 concrete? So just get some more of that stuff delivered, and then hopefully we can craft up another couple of rocket silos like that. And it does look like we have some sort of regular supply of concrete. I'm not sure where that's even coming from. Alright, so we're launching refined concrete down as well. Fulgora still taking drone casualties out over this way. We can help that a little bit. Okay, so yeah, Aquilo support is definitely fixed. The problem is fixed. We have the ability to launch. It's just that we have to launch so many things that it is going to take forever. But theoretically, this should be resolved within like a couple of these cycles. And that should be fine. Have a lot of stone being dropped down here for some reason. How much concrete do we have? Alright, yeah, so we have no spare concrete anymore. So it's going to be waiting on this guy to deliver it all, which should be ready to go like any second now. You have 1,900, 2,000 concrete. Yeah, so now you can head out to Aquilo, and that should get these extra rocket silos built, and then we just need to get the requester chests in and get the heat pipes up. So we just go like that. Those will be set to automatic quest handling. And those will be set to that. Power pole goes across. And productivity modules. And they can have like a speed beacon shared between them. That should be fine. I think that reaches both. It's hard to see. Alright, so now you're getting... I don't know why you've looped back to get fluoroketone, but I guess that's fine. So you have your fusion power cells, and then soon you're going to be getting the railguns, and all will be well. Yes, the railguns are starting to show up. Railguns are starting to show up. Fusion power cells are almost here. That's the second launch there. And then here is where we start to launch railguns and get all of that sorted out. Alright, so yeah, that's all functional now. And Vulcanus is still probably going to have... It's still going to have harsh limitations on the big mining drill supply. Just... we need to work to expand the tungsten, which... that's our tungsten patch. You can grab some more tungsten patches just sort of around in various locations, but it's not, like, super accessible. Okay, the calcite here is starting to run low, so we can make you more efficient, the couple ones that we have remaining. Throw all that in. Okay, transport platform is here, by the way, so let's deliver all of these guys down to Vulcanus. And that should get some decent construction going here. And that'll be cool. So the calcite here is like 1 trillion times more efficient than ever. It doesn't get used much, but if it does get used at some point in the future, then it should last a while. At least longer than it looks like it would as it is currently. We don't need any of that stuff. That stuff is all nonsense. They don't do anything because there's not enough calcite within range. So now most of those construction request things are gone, and it's just the Aquilo stuff that we're missing. And probably even more quality modules in these recyclers, but hopefully not too crazy. Transport platform has done what it can, so you can head back to Novice. Aquilo support 2 is slowly getting there. It almost has all the railgun turrets. Alright, so that should be functional pretty soon. Then this guy going between Flora and Vulcanus, you just don't have any issues. You have plenty of stuff, it's just a question of how often you actually need to use it. So yeah, the main goals are get Aquilo up and running better, get legendary tungsten going at a reasonable rate, because what we currently have is like incredibly embarrassing. Apparently we've made 611 legendary tungsten carbide in all of history, which is not fantastic. But we do have more local legendary iron production on Vulcanus, so that's nice. So yeah, we just need to go fight some... yeah. We just need to go fight some demolishers, grab more tungsten ore, so that we can do this better, and that will be that. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap up here for the day. So next time around, we get the legendary tungsten carbide. We can turn it into more big mining drills and eventually legendary foundries. And then once we have all of legendary buildings automated, our next step is just going to be to start doing science at a very large scale. So I want to have an enormous amount of science production before I consider this game finished. And so that's going to be our next step after all the legendary stuff, is getting a whole bunch of science. So yeah, that'll be that for today. We will be doing Dyson Sphere program tomorrow. Been having pretty good fun with that. Had unexpectedly died at the end of last stream, so we're going to be recovering from that, I guess, but that should be fun. Otherwise, we'll be back here on Wednesday as usual. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, playing various factory building games. So, if you're interested in that, make sure to follow if you haven't already. And if you have already followed, thanks, appreciate that. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.